Enter the crib. Your strike back sit rep starts in 3, 2, 1. Wait, do we go on 0?
All right, guys, we are back to talk about the season finale, not series finale, season finale.
Season finale. That is it.
Of Warrior. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Deb.
So there are major spoilers ahead. Yeah, I mean, it's the season finale. It's going to go on HBO Max. Our hope is that we'll get picked up for more because it's really just too good. I mean, this is a huge cliffhanger. So,
yeah.
Spoilers. We are chatting with Ah Sahm and Koji after our review, so stick around for that. And as we have been promising you guys, we have loads of great interviews for you coming in the next few weeks. Diane Doan, Jonathan Tropper, Hoon Lee. We have Hong Chen's coming by. We've got all kinds of great stuff. So we are very excited and more than that. So keep a lookout for those. And try to get your friends to go on HBO Max and watch. And you watch because they don't know that you've already seen it.
Right. And it's going to have
the numbers.
10 times the impact if you watch it on HBO Max. Very important. Very. Did we mention it's important? It's very important.
All right. So that being said, Deb, your thoughts on episode 10?
I will say I had no idea what to expect coming into this since we basically ended it with just carnage last week. Where were they going to go from there? Because it was, how do you recover from that? Were they going to have a recovery episode? Was it going to just, focus on the losses? What were they going to do? And I think there was so much packed into this episode. I mean, we say that every episode, but it just kept coming and coming and coming. It was a longer episode than usual, I think. But also it was just, they sort of wrapped up what happened last week, but they opened whole new cans of worms for every character. It was just like, oh my God. Every time I thought, okay, I guess we're done with Penny. Holy crap. No, we're not done with Penny.
Yeah.
Think we're done with Buckley. Nope, more with Buckley. It just kept coming. And it was just brilliant. And it's so clear that they were just setting up an amazing season 3. So it has to happen.
Yeah, so it was crazy. I mean, it was cliffhanger, setting up perfectly for a season 3. And not in that kind of cliffhanger that you're like, I will forever hate this show for doing this to us, but in the exactly that, beautifully written,
right.
leads you on to the next chapter of
right.
each story, as opposed to some which are like, did they die or did they not die? This was like, close this book, pick up the next book. I'm mixing my chapter and a whole book, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I mean, God, it was.
Well, I think there's a difference when writers and showrunners write cliffhangers knowing that the show is ending, and so they intentionally do that to their audience, or write well done cliffhangers with the intention of clearly finishing out the story. And these guys had no reason to believe that this show wasn't going to continue. There was just no reason to believe that. So it was written clearly, assuming that we were going to pick up with these storylines when we came back next season. And, it was a shock to everyone when Cinemax announced that they were closing up shop, basically.
Yeah.
So, it's one thing for shows to do that, knowing they might be not coming back, or knowing for sure they aren't coming back and just doing that to their audience. But when you have every reason to believe you're coming back and you're just, unfurling this brilliant story, this was a perfect way to end the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And it was one of those, like, each step felt inevitable and shocking at the same time.
Yeah,
Maybe that's
exactly.
like the what was so crazy. Like Penny ending up in an insane asylum felt super shocking, but also kind of
Of
inevitable.
course, Buckley would
Yes.
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of
you
course he
know,
would, yes. And Assam, of course he would end up on the outs. But it's also like shocking because he just fought and became like a hero, you
hmm
know? Yeah, I mean Leary walking into the to become a political, well, we kind of got that tease when Sophie had sort of brought up, then you had kind of picked
hmm
up on that and talked about it, but it
and
still felt
Buckley
shocking,
Buckley
especially
brought it
after
up.
he got his ass kicked.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, Leary, I think it's God, he's really just one of the most interesting characters introduced this season because there's so much more to him than what you see. And yet there have been times where we've thought he was going to step up and he didn't.
Yeah.
And, where the person we thought he was would have jumped right into that fight
Yeah.
and didn't. And now he surprises us once again after getting his ass kicked. He's not going to just keep going at it with the violence and with, the underhanded techniques. Although I will say that clearly San Francisco politics are pretty underhanded. But, now he's going to join the mainstream, basically,
Yeah.
is what, he's been trying to play this game just for the Irish. And now he realizes, okay, I'll never have the kind of power I need
Right.
doing that.
Right.
So I'm getting into the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. It's a lot. So we should maybe just jump right in and say favorite fight. I mean, it's got to be, yeah, D
Yeah,
Jagger and Andrew Koji. It's the fight we've been
exactly.
waiting for since last season. Please get it over with. It was incredible, and you guys, I cannot say enough. You have to hear Andrew Koji talk about it because there's so much more going on personally
Mm-hmm.
for him than we realize because of how they shot and how tired he was. And it really is, this was he we had initially asked him if he wanted to come on and talk about episode 6 because all the different fighting styles and stuff like that, and he was
Right.
like, no, I want to talk about 10. And this fight was the reason. um Incredible.
Incredible. From both actors and
Yes.
from just when you break that scene down, just walking right into enemy territory and confronting all of them. Had that happened a few days beforehand, they probably just would have killed him. But that sort of the respect there was that respect that he earned on those streets that they were so shocked that none of them even thought to
Well,
take
a couple
action
of them
against him.
did because there were two guys on the ground that he had to take out in the bar, and the rest of them standing back. Because when Dean Jagger comes in and he's like, "We should just kill you," and he's like, "Well, these guys thought they would try," and there are two guys who did try.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. This is a first. This is a first ever in multiple
Write this
seasons of
down.
Strike Back, 2 seasons of Warrior. I picked up on something that Dub missed. You're gonna live this will live
I'm
in
writing this
empathy
date down.
simply because it's the only one.
We now know that every single time I watched this episode, I was looking away. And how many times did I watch that episode? Including not even 2 hours ago.
Yeah. That's funny. But yeah, but for most of them, you're absolutely right. I mean, the way they stood back, they knew. And God, he's cocky, but for good reason. And man, Leary, Dean Jagger, I mean, he's a beast. And when he throws punches, his fists look like three
Yeah.
times the size that they probably
Yeah.
are. Um,
You have to think about what was Assam's motivation in doing that? Because, you know, he didn't have to do it.
yeah.
it's a pretty good bet that young June is probably not going to be too happy with him that he did it, because
Maybe. Yeah.
it gives him more power.
Yeah. And that's it. Yeah, that was gonna say if young Jun understands that it's for power, which he clearly at the end when he like gets angry when he sees that mural and he spits,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
But yeah, I do think Assam it felt both like a release and like a calculated release.
Yeah.
I can become
with a
even
slight
more
bit of a
hero.
death wish behind it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like, okay, I'm just going to take my chances and see.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty interesting move on his part. Just, and, you know, it wasn't really assured that he was going to win that fight.
Yeah.
It was pretty touch and go.
It was very touch and go.
And it was just brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, it was incredible.
And he chose to slug it out for a lot of the fight. You know, so was he doing that to sort of suck Leary in, tire him out, make him think that he was beaten? Or was it really because he didn't fight the way he fights in that fight until the end, when he knew he had him and he pulled out the big punch?
Yeah.
You know, he fought Leary's fight, Leary's style of fighting, and often without any defense. He just let Leary slug him.
Yeah.
You know, he never put his hands up and defended or blocked blows at a certain point.
See, I hadn't picked up that. So there you go.
We're even again.
Yeah, and maybe part of it is paying for his deceit.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's
atonement or something.
There's so many ways you can view that fight and what his motivation was in it.
Yeah.
So.
And we didn't ask Andrew Koji.
No, we didn't. So we need. Okay, Koji, we're gonna be calling you again.
Yeah, I mean, incredible. And then, okay, so then let's talk about emotional moment. What was yours?
Well, I had several of them written down. Penny waking up in the asylum was certainly horrifically emotional. Bill and Lucy was, you know, it was sad, but it was mostly pathetic. And I also don't trust anything he said. You know, I think he believes what he's saying, but I think he also is being Bill. And, you know, there are a couple times where you just see him sneak a look at her, trying to read her, you know, how she's responding. And
he still thinks he's the hero in his own story. And he doesn't truly at heart. He knows he's a shit person. But, you know, when he's like, I'm doing it all for our family, or I'm doing, you know, whatever, it's like, no.
I really don't know how it all happened.
Yeah.
Bullshit, you don't.
Yeah.
You know? And so my main emotion out of that was just like, damn, good for you, girl. You stood strong in that. You know, you saw her like shaky, and you saw her almost, you know, there's at one point where he starts crying. It's right before he starts crying, you know, and I miss you. And you see her sort of start to lean toward him, and then she just sort of takes a breath and goes right back to just being stone, you know. And I'm just like, yay, Lucy. But she left the door open. It wasn't I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
You know, so he knows he has a chance to do the work, and whether he does or not, or he just keeps playing his games, hopefully we'll find out.
Yeah.
I also really, really liked the scene between Father June and Chow. That was oddly extremely emotional.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was just like, there it is. There's the OGs. You know, they were here at the beginning of everything, and their world, as they know it, has fallen apart. You know, Father June is no longer the main guy. Chow has no idea what to expect from the future because everything has changed. And Father June's leaving, you know, and then that moment where he's like, look after my boy. Oh my God. was just awful. It was so sad. And that deep bow that Chow gave him.
Mm-hmm. You are the best drug dealer.
Yes, I have. You are the man. I will never be able to sell weapons to anyone I respect more.
I
But I did.
respect the way you dealt drugs. Good
Killed
job.
people. And I thank you for providing the weapons for me to do so. Oh man, so funny. But I do think for even with all of that went on, it still has to be Assam and Youngjun for me. That whole confrontation. And
yeah.
you know, even though Youngjun had that kernel of doubt, the sense of betrayal when Mylene dropped her little bombshell.
Yep.
But that was
he knew there was something. You took all of mine. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
No, I challenge you to come up with 4 more.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was so from the actual, I mean, the argument between Youngjun and Mylene and Lee Young just standing there, the look on his face, so fucking done with these kids is like what it looked like. Is like a mom looking at children going like, Jesus Christ, just make up.
Yeah.
You know? And then
the look on and Hong.
Yeah. Yeah. Just sitting there eating.
Just sitting there eating as usual. And then the look on his face throughout the whole thing. You know, and then just like, oh shit.
Yeah. But Mai's face, her vicious vindication and joy at dropping that knowledge. Oh, that was, yeah. But the two of them, I mean, Ah Sahm and Youngjun, and I think we really saw Jason shine.
Yeah.
In this, and yeah, I mean, he's had this doubt this whole time, and he knew there was something, and now it's like ripped off the Band-Aid here. It's not just a pinprick, it's a gaping wound.
Right.
But
and intellectually, he talked himself through it. And yeah, I believe that you don't have an allegiance to her, but I still don't know what your game is.
Yeah.
You know?
And you still lied to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not just a small little lie, like we bought drugs from someone else, but that's a foundational lie right there. That's just, and then Hong pointing out there is, what were the options? I mean, Hong is just, and that the power swing that happened there with Hong, that Assam's gone. And first of all, that he let Hong sit there and watch that breakdown, and then immediately turns to him for his opinion. Has Hong just jumped up a couple rungs on the ladder there?
Yeah. I could see very much. I mean, Hong, he is a little bit psycho.
But he's damn smart.
Weird. He is really fucking smart. And he, to me, would make a brilliant advisor.
Yeah.
A second man, because he cuts through the bullshit and understands so quickly what's happening.
And has no agenda of his own.
Yeah, and then emotional detachment. Yes, I was gonna say, and has, although, if he becomes more, mired in it, that could change. But he does seem to have a sort of a precise, like, understanding of things, which is interesting.
Right. I mean, he is, basically, he could be the Liang.
Yeah.
Or Youngjun.
Yeah.
And
without the sex, because Youngjun is not his type.
True, but you never know. You never know. Although they're brothers, so I think Hong made it very clear that is not a line he crosses. So, but yeah, I mean that has a lot of potential to become a hell of an alliance there.
Yeah.
And how does that then, even if Youngjun does accept Ah Sahm back into the fold, how does that power dynamic change?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot.
So
There's
many
so many questions, so many threads. I mean, and of course, that it was that and Penny for me because that the horror and it felt very like real because that
Yeah,
was such a not uncommon thing for men to do with
exactly.
what I don't like the way they're acting right now.
Hysterical women,
Yeah.
you know, that was absolutely a power used against women. And, you know, there she doesn't have a hell of a lot of options left
No.
anymore. You know, the only hope she has is Sophie.
Yeah.
So,
That's not a
yeah.
lot. That's not a great one.
Maybe Nellie, maybe if they could reach out to Nellie somehow. But yeah, and it just, every time Penny, throughout this entire series, every time she gets a little power or thinks she has some control or power, she gets put back in her place as a woman in the 1800s, that you were only allowed so much. So, yeah, that's really terrifying.
All right, so lots of emotion, big fight. What was your what the fuck moment?
Well, you know, again, there were a lot of them.
Are you gonna name them all?
I think I am going to name them all. And the thing is that, at first my instinct was to say Mylene
With the
outing
photo.
Ah Sahm.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say the photo with Buckley.
No, mine was going to be her outing Ah Sahm, but that was such, that was always hanging out there that she was going to do that. So it wasn't really all that much
The
of
shocking
a surprise.
inevitability.
Exactly. The only true real shocks that we had were Penny and Buckley.
And Zing.
Oh, well, yeah.
That was my what
Just
the
the
fuck.
fact that Zing was still there, I think, that was the shock. It was like, oh, look, okay, roll credits. Oh,
yeah.
Bonus Zing moment. So yeah, that was I wouldn't say that was a what the fuck, but it was definitely a wow, this is cool. And again, a major sign that they had no reason to think that that they were closing shop.
Right.
But I really just Buckley being willing to go so far to set her up.
Yeah. To stab himself. That was crazy.
And yeah, as soon as he picked up that letter opener, I knew that's what he was going to do. I knew there was no way he was going to attack her because he will never lose control like that. So as soon as he picked it up, I was like, holy shit, he's going to stab himself. And then just, hello, that was, he hit an artery. If he really stabbed himself there, he would have hit an artery. But okay, we'll just let that go. So that was, I have to probably go with that. But there were just,
there were a lot. So I will tell you my what the fuck was actually Lee and the bartender and the weird, sexy way they talked about killing people. Have you killed a man? You bet I have. I was like, what is happening here? Like, I get it. You guys got a lot of chemistry. This is not the conversation to be like, you're turning me on. What the fuck?
I do, although it did bring back his whole Dexter side. And I must have to say, I was quite thoroughly impressed that perhaps he's not as far gone on drugs as we thought he was, because he certainly had no performance issues.
I'm like, find every little bit of happiness you can, you poor guy.
It's pretty twisted.
I'm not sure the drug dealing bartender is the best match, but maybe he can rescue her or something, because I imagine that has part of like
he definitely has that sort of rescue complex going
on, where he might see her like and think she needs that. I don't know. But yeah, I just the whole like the sexy talk was like
Creepy.
so fucking creepy.
That way out creeped Buckley.
Oh my god. That was crazy.
Uh,
So, I mean, I don't even want to do questions because there are so many from everybody, and I feel like we're just setting ourselves up.
there was a lot of really great. There were like just really cool little touches in this episode, like the when Bill was talking to Lucy at the kitchen table, and then it like the camera pans up and you can see the the table covered with all the with beautiful Irish lace tablecloth with stains all over it. I'm like, oh, it's just so emblematic. And there were just little things like that throughout the whole episode that I thought throughout the whole series that were great, but that was kind of cool. Yeah.
Bright moment. Davenport came back. She and Atoy. That was precious. I just love that, and I loved Ah Sam's whole like. Well, this makes total sense. Which I just thought was great.
Yeah, it was like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah, that was amazing. So I thought that was great. I thought I'd be remiss in bringing that up, but all in all, I think what we can say is thank you to everybody involved in Warrior for a phenomenal season, and for coming on and spending so much time with us, and
continuing to do so.
And continuing to do so, and God, I really hope, we hope there's more to come.
And we'll be beating that drum. So it's
really,
really important that you all talk a lot about how great this show is, and that people have got to start watching it on HBO Max.
And hopefully we'll get a heavy surge right at the beginning so they can make a decision really quickly and get filming really fast.
Since we have to rebuild a whole bunch of sets.
Yeah. So hopefully they will get to work. It was incredible. So lots of interviews to come. Andrew Koji up next. He was delightful.
And phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal in this series. Just physically the pounding this guy took. Just amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, and I do want to point out really quick before we go that if you didn't notice, if you didn't hear, which I don't know, if you're living under a rock, that Warner Brothers, all their movies next year will be coming out simultaneously on HBO Max, which means that Joe Taslim's Mortal Kombat will be coming out on HBO Max, and you bet your ass we'll be live tweeting and watching that, and hopefully speaking to Mr. McCarty Pants again. So, because he's amazing, and that's it, and that's the only excuse we need.
So we should probably ask who else. Okay, like if we were to have a group interview, who do you want to hear in that group interview, and who else do you want to hear from?
Yeah,
I mean, we have a bunch lined up, but who else? What was it?
I said, are you asking me or are you asking the audience?
Both.
Okay. Well, I'll leave it to the audience because you know who I want to talk to, and I've gotten to talk to most of them. But yeah, so yeah, good things coming. Hopefully, season 3, and yeah.
I don't care if I have to go down and chain myself to the HBO New York building. There's going to be a season 3.
Yeah. So, all right, Andrew Koji.
We're not at Xville. Stay with us at the crib.
All right, guys. So now you have seen the whole season, and we are so excited. Who better than to bring on the star of the show, Andrew Koji? Thank you so much for visiting us.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
We're excited. Big season. Ah Sahm, kind of a dick, but in general, phenomenal. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Glad you enjoyed it. Yeah. I don't know what to say about that. Yeah, he's a bit of a dick, isn't he? Yeah, I think.
It all depends on your point of view. So,
Yeah. I mean, he's
Yeah.
angry.
Yeah.
Let's have a think. He's angry. He's cocky as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah.
He, yeah, he's a bit, and he's got an agenda this season, isn't he?
Yeah.
Big time agenda. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which has
Just like-
been fun because, you know, when we ended last season, you weren't really sure, okay, is he really here to try to take things over, or is he really, you know, wants to be the whole brother thing, or you were a little vague about where he might go. And then this season, you know,
Yeah,
it was like,
I mean-
okay, no doubt about it, he's ready. He wants to be the king.
That's good. That's good because yeah, I felt even like season one as an actor, just breaking the scenes down as an actor. You know, you get the pilot and you go, okay, cool. He's coming here for his sister. That's what he wants. He's going after this, and then you get the other scripts further down the line. You look at them and go, and I remember just thinking, what, I don't know what he wants. What does he want? You know, I thought he came here for his sister. And now, okay, well, and then I remember talking to Jonathan Tropper at the time, and you never get super in depth. Once you're in the flow of filming, you never manage to get super in depth with the talking about the writing, because they've done the work for the whole thing. So if I was to bring up an issue, going, I don't know what he wants anymore, they might go, oh, screw it, you know, whatever. But, I for season one, I was just going, yeah, what's he? Is he just kind of floating? He's just a hatchet man now. He's just kind of he's drifting. He's drifting a lot, you know. And then I think, I wonder if part of that was, see, this is candid. I can say this now because this is us time. But I did start thinking, well, maybe because I was an unknown quantity back then to them, at least, like whether or not they were hedging their bets, going, okay, let's not make, you know.
We got a lot of other characters we can lean on.
Yeah, I know, you know, okay, well, you might not be able to pull off all this dramatic stuff.
Wow.
I don't know. But
That never even crossed my
No.
mind.
But I could see being sort of new and then being the lead almost immediately, you know, yeah, that would feel, I could see how that would feel that way a little bit.
Yeah. But then, so I mean, so just as a character thing, I was going, okay, what's he going for? What's he after? And then I was trying to figure that out as a season one, as I kept getting the new scripts for season one. And then I think we had a chat with Jonathan before we shot season two, and he goes, what do you feel you want to do with the Sahm for next season? I said, all I know is I think you can do whatever you want with him, but all I know is I think he needs to be on his front foot more. He needs to be driving for something. He needs to be he's got to figured out something, a goal, and he's going after that. And then Jonathan went away and wrote that, and that's how it came with season two. So I think it shifted it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it totally works. It's one of those things we have talked about. It's been really interesting because I think we've seen so much more of the emotional dynamic from everybody, even though there's more characters this season, which has been like crazy, and it feels like everybody gets a little bit shorter time on screen, but
More meaningful time.
Yeah, more meaningful time. That's exactly it. But seeing especially Ah Sahm and Lee Young, like last season sort of set up as these like kind of oppositional forces. You weren't really sure. Leon was just an enforcer, and Ah Sahm, you were kind of like, I don't know what his deal is. And this season, you kind of see like Ah Sahm almost become the anti-hero, and he's very sort of like you said, he's cocky, and he's getting in there in a very interesting way. We just love the show. The show is so good. It's phenomenal.
I think that the actors as well. I don't know. The more, because I'm very I mean, I've said this before, but I'm very picky with my acting, and like even I think I'm shit in so much. But,
Oh God. Well, we don't think so.
No. No. Give us a scene. We'll tell you. Not shit.
But I'm just like, so when I like, and I find it very hard to watch stuff I'm in, but like going flicking through the show, season 2, like in particular, um, I'm just like I just see I see Kieran, I see Tom, I see Joe doing it, everyone doing their thing, and I think as you probably come to known by having interviews with them, like they're nothing like the character, and I'm just it's very rare for me to be on a show where I'm just like whoa, I'm like whoa, these people are really good, you know, these actors are really good, sharp on the ball. Most of them have been leads in their own things prior or around the thing, and I just like I look at them and the nuance they bring to things, and for me, I'm like I'm just I watch them going, oh shit, they're all really good.
Well, the thing to remember is they're doing exactly the same thing. And that's what makes you good, is you're always learning from the people around you.
And they all have wonderful things to have said about you as well during their interviews.
Oh, really?
So,
yeah.
Okay, we'll stop. I know that's hard to hear. I'm familiar with that actor thing you're doing right now, where it's like, oh, they're saying nice things, and I just want to hide because it feels like uncomfortable.
Yeah. I'm a cliche like that.
No. Well, okay, so I want to ask you then. We'll get to the real heart, the real important, most important question. Last season, we saw Lee Young beat Ah Sahm. This season, they end up sort of fighting next to each other. Biggest question: Storm Shadow or Sub-Zero? Who wins? Ninja versus Ninja. G.I. Joe, Mortal Kombat.
Subs. Oh.
We asked Joe the question last night for episode 5. So now we want your take.
So here's the thing: my ego would be Storm Shadow. You know, Storm Shadow, easy. Thing is, though, I'm playing quite a younger, flawed Storm Shadow. He's younger. He hasn't learned all the things he's learned yet. And Joe, it sounds like he's playing a very driven, ominous Sub-Zero. And the worlds are so different, aren't they? Because one's G.I. Joe is very soft as for kids. It's
yeah.
They don't have the brutality. What do they call it? Fatalities. You know.
Yeah.
Those they don't have that. So I would say realistically, Sub-Zero, and he can do that. Whatever ice.
The
thing.
Ice thing. That was he said. He was like, Koji's not gonna like the answer, but Sub-Zero, because I just have to ice him.
Can do ice. I mean, I got 2 swords. Ice ain't gonna help with that. Do you know what I mean? I'm going with Sub-Zero, to be honest. Let's go with Sub-Zero. I'm going to be controversial. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to go against the character I'm playing. He'd win, and he'd rip out my heart. You know what I mean? I'll be confused. I'll be going, what's going on? I don't know.
That's amazing. Thank you.
He'd be throwing the swords, going, no, go away. What is this? Ice stuff? No. Witchcraft. He'll be panicking. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Crying.
And then, but then I think so. Then I'm thinking the white, because it's always confused me why he wears a white ninja costume, because it's not discreet. It's like
no, unless he's in snow.
Yeah, I was thinking that I would joke around with Henry Golding a lot on set, because he's wearing the black ninja one. I was going, oh, that's where I'm going wrong. They keep seeing me. I'm in the white. I think it looks cool, but
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was a short answer. Sorry. Yeah, I just went off on one there.
No, that's perfect. That's exactly, yeah. Well, thank you for indulging me. But so I do, in all seriousness, one of the best things about Warrior is the individuality of the fighting styles and how much they seem to fit the character. I mean, not being a martial arts expert, how much they seem to fit the characters and who they are. You know, Ah Sahm, he fights this very it seems like sort of quick and snappy and a little cocky and kind of flashy, and you see like the Youngs are so it's like slower and like a little more like lower and grounded, and so I'm wondering how you like how the development of Ah Sam's style came about, and like how you view him as a martial artist.
That's quite that's interesting. Yeah. Well, I say this now that and I've said this before because it's just a fact. It's just a fact. I think Joe Taslim is one of the most gifted screenwriters that I think of his generation, and I think I'm hoping Hollywood picks up on like because he's not. I really don't think he's. It's not just he's a lovely guy and he's very good. I think he really is an exceptional screenwriter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's
We
many.
agree.
We
He's
absolutely
beautiful
agree.
to watch on
Yeah.
screen. Not just because he's a beautiful man, but just like the way he moves. I'm gonna
Yeah.
make myself blush,
Yeah.
but he is
Yeah.
just very strong and like grounded and yeah. Anyways, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean I no, I like for me myself. I was a big fan of him, and I was intimidated as hell meeting him. He was my first because I came from this background where the last 10 years of my life it was predominantly just acting, and I was trying to go against martial art stuff really, and I was but when I saw the Raid and I cared about his character so much in the Raid, and then I saw him even in the small bits he did in Fast and Furious
Mm-hmm.
6, I think.
Yeah.
I was just watching him going, holy shit, this guy he moves so beautifully, fluidly. So it's not, it's anyway. So I could gush about Joey Taslim like a lot, but so anyway, so I think he's phenomenal in that aspect, and I think okay, so I saw what he was doing and how he was playing, and then I was like going, well, what can I bring, you know? And I mean, he knows how to play for the angle, for the camera, for the style, the genre as well, which is something that I was rebelling against. Season 1, I was rebelling against. I was going, well, I don't want to be, I don't want to be in a kung fu. If I'm going to make it real, I'm going to make it real. If I'm going to go to punch you and I'm going to make that like I'm going to fucking, knock you out and all that stuff. But Joe was, he's playing with the angles. He's kind of, relaxing into stuff, and he's like stuff he does in season 2. I'm just like, oh man, he's fucking genius. And so season 1 was me. I think it was a combination of the cocky style, and I was being very feral and very channeling a lot of aggression, which Bruce Lee kind of did anyway. So it kind of those things married together in season 1, and then and then I guess for season 2, I saw what Joe was doing, and I was going, fuck, he's so fucking good. And I was like, well, okay, well, Assam's lost to Joe, Assam's lost to Leon, and Andrew is still in awe of Joe, and they're kind of yin and yang. And I was going, okay, well, Assam, and the yin and yang in terms of martial arts as well. Martial arts is what you can, in terms of fighting. There are animals out there. There are people who ferally, even if they haven't trained martial arts, they could destroy any martial artist. No matter how long they've trained, there's an animal inside them. So there's the animal aspect, then there's the very highly trained aspect. And I started to see Assam and Leon as two kind of sides of the same coin. Like Leon represents discipline, calmness, beautiful, what do you call it? Structure and all that stuff. And Assam more on the other end of this scrappy kind of feral energy, but he's still got some technique and moves. But so I was going, okay, well, I was trying to get more to this side. You can't see we're podcasting, are we? I was trying to go from one side of the feral thing to more to the aspect of calmness or control. And I think that would be Assam would be doing that anyway, because he lost himself in season 1. So season 2 is a transition. I think is going from fighting in a very feral aspect to try and finding more beauty and grace and form. And I was trying to find that in the choreography. I was trying to how I perform the choreography. And I think Brett was on this. Brett Chan, our stunt coordinator, he was on the same. He was on the same page. And I think if we did go to a season 3, it would be more towards me doing a Joe Taslim impression. Yeah, yeah. That's the evolution. It's the evolution of Andrew. Season 1, Andrew rebels against of doing what Joe Taslim's doing. Then he falls in love with it. Oh, then he goes, oh shit, this guy's really good. You know, I think at season 1 I was rebelling. I was going, okay, my energy will carry me through this. And I was like, oh, actually, there's so much to learn. And then, yeah, so that was it's been like, I think on some shows you get the magical combination whereas the actors they're expressing a certain aspect of themselves, and I think that happened in loads of aspects in Warrior, you know. And I think so. Yeah.
It's interesting because in episode 5 we sort of see that all come together in the way that Ah Sahm gets through that tournament by instead of just 6. And the way he gets through that tournament, instead of just sort of rushing in and let's brawl it out, that he spends the time studying each fighter and studying their weaknesses before he gets in there. So he's kind of doing the Joe Taslim.
The one kick to Bisbing's face.
Oh yeah.
That was so awesome.
They put that at the beginning of the trailer as well. I was like, oh no, they done this being dirty.
Yep.
It's like, no, come on.
Oh, that was just so great when we saw the trailer. I'm just like, Bisping's in it.
yeah. Oh, he's on the floor. Oh, shit.
Yeah, I thought that was so brilliant because I think so. I didn't actually watch the trailer for it. I just like binged them all, and like that one, because you see him and so you think like, okay, I know who that is. This is gonna be like the big fight at the end, and then the unexpected like one shot knockout was brilliant. I thought that was so smart. But speaking of fights, let's talk about episode 9, which leads into 10, because holy shit, that was incredible. I mean, how many
whole episode was just
were involved? Do you know about how many people were involved with the whole? I mean, you have like all the Irish and all the tongues, and then the police, and like, I mean, what was that like filming all that with that many people?
I think, well, for those episode 9 in particular, it was very much. We've got to thank and the credit, most of the credit, pretty much all of it, to be honest, goes to Brett Chan and Denny Gordon, who directed it, because they had to work together very closely to choreograph. Because Warrior and I mean you guys know you covered Strike Back, but Cinemax and that, they don't have the biggest budget for these things.
Right.
Like they make it look like
big budget stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So a lot of the streets that you see are recycled, and they repaint this and that and change it and shoot it in a different way. So when I saw firstly I read episode 9, I was going, how are they going to pull this off? This is how much budget have we got? I'm hearing running out of budget. And Denny's going, don't worry, we got this. And she's a phenomenal the director and person, and she goes, yeah, I got this. It's good. We got this. And so she just collaborated with Brett, and Brett was almost Brett's almost he almost helped direct half of that episode, because it's mostly fights.
Yeah.
So Brett shot, and they had to work very closely, and they were like military kind of, okay, you cut that, okay, that we didn't manage to get that on that day, so we're gonna have to redo that, do that. They were just on it. And so we even though we did our fights, but the credit for that, to get that in the can, is a lot of Brett and Denny, and they so I think episode 9 in particular wasn't it wasn't too tough for me. It was the combination of episode 9 and 10 which was tough, because normally when you're filming, if you do a big fight scene one week, it's kind of nice to have the next week off, because then not only you got to rehearse and then kind of try and see if you can do these moves and be camera ready for, if you got 2 fight scenes one week after the other, normally one of them's going to suffer. You're either trying to save your energy for the next fight scene, or or you put it all in one fight scene and you're too tired for the next.
Mm.
You know, to kind of be on point for the rehearsals and all that. I think, yeah, that was just like, I don't think we could have got episode 9 the way it was unless everyone was really on board and they brought their A game to everything and they knew each other. If that was a season 1, they wouldn't have been able to do that because everyone had been too chaotic. No one hadn't fused and gelled and everything. So, yeah, I think that was I don't know, the way the fact that they managed to do that. I'm like, well, okay, it is impressive. Episode 10 was the hard one for me because I put everything I could in episode 9, and then I think episode 8 I can't remember this. There was something. There was a sequence of events.
Yeah.
And then we shot episode 6 actually right at the
At
end.
the last, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was, and that's a fight episode. So
Right.
I literally episode 10 I collapsed, and I felt like I couldn't film it when we were fighting the big fight scene. I won't say with who, but
Oh, you can.
You
This
can,
is
well,
this
yeah.
will come out after 10,
Come
so
out
that
after
you don't have to
10.
worry about spoilers. Yeah.
all right. Well, when I was first day of filming with Dean, and we rehearsed that for so long because we were like, we wanted to make sure that it was about the acting, you know, about the characters. These two, we knew at that point that they spent the whole season building up and developing Leary, which would be needed for us to actually care about the fight, you know, to care about the fight because, you know, because he's now he's got a soul or a heartbeat or something, you know, rather than just being a cliche angry guy. So anyway, we just was like, okay, this is about two fighters, two people from two different beliefs, but they're the alpha male warriors from their tribe who are coming together to try and just, you know, to sort it out, you know, sort it out in a gentleman's brawl. We're not going to stamp you while you're down. We're not going to bring weapons to this. This is you and me. This is the top people from our fight, and we'll go until one of us submits, and then so we were going, okay, this is a lot of the psychological. It's a very psychological fight as well. So we were trying to just get that in, and I think that's what me and Dean enjoy about acting and fight scenes. Anyway, we prefer when there's some psychological heart rather than just fancy choreography. So we were like, okay, we knew that we wanted to pull this off as to our best as our ability of going, okay, what's this moment about? What would you do if I was down there, and would you come up to me and try and there? He says, no, I'll let you wait. I'll just wait for you to get up, you know, and do your thing. Cause like, you know, either you're man enough to get up. I was okay, cool. Let's play that moment. And anyway, so we started the first night of that fight scene. And I think just the night or two before I finished the nunchuck fight scene.
God.
Oh man.
Yeah. And my legs had collapsed by that point. And I literally, because we've got these things called the hip flexors. The hip flexors, we use them a lot for kicking and stuff. And they were so inflamed and sore, I couldn't lift my leg to kick. And I just couldn't get the choreography out and I couldn't move quick enough to dodge the punches and stuff. And I remember saying, so we built this thing up for so long, me and Dean going, okay, we've got this now. We met up outside of rehearsal days to just try and go over it in our head and all that, to try and go over it. And then the first day came and my body wasn't working and I just felt like, oh, I've let everyone down and I don't know what I'm doing. And I felt like this won't be what it needs to be, you know? And I thought we weren't going to get it. And I thought this isn't going to work out. And I said to Dean, I said, I'm so sorry, man. I don't think I can do this. I said to Brett, I apologize. I was in tears and stuff. And I was a bit like, I felt like this important thing was just, I let the ball down. So anyway, I had a conversation with the producers and stuff, and they said, listen, we've got the budget to either go through it and we'll just have to film it all with stunt doubles and try and get the close-up shot, or you can do it and you just let us know. And I said, listen, I'm going to keep going until I'm on the floor and I can't do it. I'll try. And or the other option was to wait until after episode 6. So Dean would have to delay his flight. He needed to get back to LA and all that. And so there wasn't much choice basically. So I just came back, and I think we had one night where it was a bit softer, and then the next night it was okay. We have to do this, and I've got to tell you, there was some magic on set which I've never felt on a bigger production. I felt it on my own like little short films before, where there's only a few of us and we're having to just vibe and we're on the same wavelength. But there was something magic in the air, this camaraderie or whatever you called it, where we were all on the same page, down to the extras, because sometimes you have to retake the scene because the extras are in the background because they're bored,
Yeah.
whatever. And but we were all together on every single take, and we were smashing things out. Like we managed it's like 1 or 2 takes, moving on. Okay,
Yeah.
got this in 1, moving on. And we were, Dean, all of us would go, what's going on? Let's keep going, man, let's keep going. Keep going. We're making the day as well. We're making a day. And we managed to get, I think it was 63 setups, 63 different takes.
Wow.
In that night, we managed to pretty much do the whole fight scene,
That's
including the stuff.
amazing.
Yeah. And
How many Advil did you have to take to get through that?
Right?
yeah, I mean,
like Advil, I had an IV.
Yeah.
I think you just can't see it. They like green screen the IV out.
While I was on,
yeah.
action.
Push the walker away.
Lose the walker.
Yeah. Get out of the shot. Can you see that? Okay, give me a shot. I think I had the B12 shot up the ass or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I felt like so much teamwork, and it was just a tough period of time. And that was a period of time. I think sometimes when as an actor, you kind of think that I've got to rise to the occasion, whatever it is, and you do. But you have to also realize you're a human being, and that and I forgot that, and I kind of was like, okay, I need to just be there, and I can't, this is such a great opportunity, and I never would complain, but there was times where it was really hard to film, and you're tired, you're not getting enough sleep, and you're not, you're beating yourself up because you feel like you didn't do the scene right before, you missed this, you should have done this. And as you're in this thing and you go, okay, I'm a human being and I can fall just like anyone else. And that's what I think all of them, all great performances or great actors or whatever it is, they're all the same. They're all part of that. And it's like, it was just made me realize I've got people here behind me, have got my back, and I've got their back, and we're gonna do this. And that there was something magic that night. I think until I die, I think I'll remember that night as something that we're creating something for the art and for people because we care about people. There was something magical in that night, which was not about how anyone looks. Do they look really good, or are they gonna be really cool, or whatever? It's like this is a story we want to tell. These are the characters we need to try and live up to and to do it, and we need to help do this together. And that was a magical night, and I'll remember that forever. So yeah.
I'm really glad we talked about episode 10.
yeah. I told you.
No, yeah, it's amazing. I think so often, especially like the people who maybe don't do stuff like listen to podcasts or read a bunch of interviews and stuff like that, I think have an idea of acting as sort of walking on and you say some lines and maybe it's like emotionally difficult and forget the physical toll that it can take. I know, God, Deb, who was it? We interviewed someone who was talking about being diabetic and their blood sugar dropping after time, like on set, and just how like, and it wasn't even like an action something. It was just like, they were tracking and realizing like how much your body.
It's Jason.
Oh, is it Jason?
Yes.
It's okay. So, I was like, I don't remember who it was.
Got that guy.
Yeah, that other guy,
He got diagnosed, I think, didn't he?
Yeah. And so he was talking about, that like his surprise at what it took, just a regular day on set that wasn't fighting, took out, physical proof, not just a feeling tired, but like, look, literally.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, which I think is incredible. I'm glad you remembered it was Jason. That's hilarious.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll let
'Cause
her
that
keep
whole-
talking. She'll remember. She'll remember.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah. But I think but it's interesting because you mentioned episode 6, and so by the time that came, um, by the time we came to shooting that, I was so tired because that was after that whole fiasco.
Right.
And then also, again, for the budget, for the it was a very ambitious episode.
Mm.
Mhm.
I think it's a bit shorter than, isn't it? Like a bit short in length. It's a bit short.
I didn't even
I
notice. It
didn't
was
even
so
notice. Like
good.
42 or 3
yeah.
minutes. So
Some of them run up
maybe
to
only a
an hour.
couple
couple
minutes.
minutes,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, we had
Not a
been
lot of
told that it
stuff.
was shot at the end of the season. There was no budget left,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
still, Dustin had to create this whole world.
Yeah.
Well, and
Still only 2 horses. But
yeah,
that's
the
okay.
same 2 horses.
Same 2 horses, whole season long. That's all right though.
Yes, we really
They
did
travel,
notice that.
They travel all over the place.
Those same horses everywhere, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're only got 2 horses, don't pick one with a very distinctive prance.
Yeah, we said this to
I
Kate, we're
love
like,
that you
you
noticed
should pick like really nondescript like brown horses, not like really fancy like black ones.
Yeah. I love that you noticed that because I remember there were times on set I was going, not specifically with the horses, but with other things. I was going, is that going to pass for a different thing? Because I swear the audience would have. I can see that. It's not
Yeah.
that same thing as that. Well, if we shoot it at this angle, then maybe they won't.
Yeah.
It's like,
Like
Really-
in Strike Back, they kept using the same airplane. They just show it going in different directions. It's the same airplane almost. Airplane, but jet,
Yeah. Same-
passenger airliner.
It's
Just-
what you have to do with the Cinemax budget, but it makes beautiful, amazing, incredible art. So
Yeah.
except for the horses.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think like because a lot of the fight scene for the main tournament fight for episode 6. Oh, this is good. We got candid stuff now.
Okay.
Because I don't think I haven't talked about this. I haven't talked about this yet, but episode 6 was the main tournament stuff. Even the end. Now, actually, the whole thing, basically, yeah, because we did episode 9 and 10. I hardly had time to rehearse episode 6. So there's a lot of shots that you'll see from the top,
Mhm.
and that's stunt because I wasn't there. I was
Oh, okay.
having to film all the stuff,
Oh.
Yeah.
all that stuff, and I was going. I remember saying to Brett and like I said, I need to be there. We can't. This isn't the show. We need I need to. And they said, yeah, but we just can't make the episode if we need you to film these acting scenes over there and in a different part, whatever location there. And I was okay. So by the time we got those shots, or I managed to be on set to film those bits with the other fighters, we had to improvise a lot of those fight scenes.
Wow.
So
Really?
I did a somersault and I landed on the
Yeah.
sky.
Yes.
Yeah. That was amazing. You just did that?
Yeah, that was me and Marcus Aurelio, fantastic capoeira guy and lovely heart, lovely soul, and I think we were having to find a finishing move.
Boy,
And,
you found it.
Yeah.
and I said, okay, well, how would Assam he's getting. So I came to set and I was like, okay, what have you guys filmed already? Okay, he filmed my double getting beaten up by his capoeira moves. I said, well, the way we can flip it around then is by flipping it around, by going, well, he's learned how to take out the capoeira guy because he's going to beat him with his own game. So I said to Marcus, I said, listen, I've got this idea. How about I do we do that move, and instead of me doing, I think it was supposed to be like an axe kick or something. I said, what if I do a somersault axe kick? And Marcus was like, yeah, man, sure, okay, let's do that. And I was like, and Brett was going, yeah, man, if you think you can do it, let's just go for it. I think it'd be better than the original one we had in mind. And And I said, okay, Marcus, let me just line it up. How are you? Okay, so you're gonna do that. You're gonna fall. He goes, yeah, man, just go for it, man.
Oh, wow.
He did that. He did that about 6 or 7 times. Each time he
Oh,
just kind of
man.
got back up. He was like, no, all good, man. Let's do it again. And
Wow.
so that episode is full of things like that, of like going,
Wow.
we just had to wing it and try and find it. And because everyone was on the same wavelength, we were like, okay, Brett trusted me and I trusted Brett. We go, okay, well, how do we make this the best thing that we can with all the limitations in place, the budget, the fact that I'm not there, the fact that this is there. And yeah, so that's how episode 6 came about. So I'm so glad, because I was thinking that was made out of pure chaos, that episode. So I was wondering how other people would receive it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the
Well.
whole thing is pure chaos, so it paid
Yeah,
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, we often talk about Cinemax action as sort of has some of the same magic that I think you get from like indie films, where you're trying to do huge things with a small budget and you have to get very creative, and it just gels into something that feels different, which sucks. Friggin' Cinemax, why the fuck they had to go away? Oh, it's very frustrating.
It's a very unique way of filming, and I think the reason that it comes off just, and we've said this before, is the style that they use, that they get everybody, it's like going to summer camp, that everyone's just there together for so long and so committed to the same thing. And like you said, you're all on the same page, you're all working together and all building each other up, and that it just comes across so beautifully on screen in the finished product of any of these Cinemax action shows that are so unique and just set such a different level of action with meaning and action with importance.
Action that's not like Transformers. It's action that's like, I mean, Warrior, the story
means
is
something.
It's so important and it's so timely, and it is, it's a history that is happening right now.
Yeah.
And it's, God, it's,
and since we've finished the season now, we can talk about what happened to Jacob. And, I mean, that was just devastating. Yeah. And there's that little part of, I'm just watching a TV show going on in your brain. It's like, someone will save him. Someone will save him. Yeah. And yet, the logical side of me is saying, no, because that's not how it works. He's going to die, and it's going to be horrific. Yeah. And, just very few shows, really no show has the guts to go there like Warrior has.
Yeah, I think it's a shame. I think there's like the more I'm learning about the industry and all that, is like, it's just people. And because I'm, to be honest, I'm very anti-Hollywood. I'm very much, I don't know about the ideals, or
you do know you're in a G.I. Joe movie, right?
Yeah, I know that's yeah. That was my battle. No, but seriously, that was my battle for a long time. I was going, I don't know if I don't really like Hollywood stuff, but I knew that. I mean, G.I. Joe was, I think,
I was just teasing. I'm sorry.
No, but it's something that's real. Like I think sometimes we need to play the game to get to where we want to get to, and so that was, and then obviously do our best and bring the characters we can to our lives. And but what I saw, what I've started to notice is they're human beings, and they're flawed and they're thinking. But what I saw from when I was at Cinemax was a guy called Carrie Anthelis.
Yes, brilliant.
Yeah, have you spoken to him? Have you?
No, my God, I would love to. But so I think when he was sort of moved out of that role that he had in creating what Cinemax original programming and taking it down that route, when he was moved out of that role, that was sort of the big red flag that things really were gonna, that was the end of it.
when we lost him, we started to think, and I think because I knew he was the big cheese at Cinemax, and he believed in Warrior to no end. I mean, like, he believed in me, in a like, and I could tell. We didn't talk for too long altogether because you never do in these big when you have the meeting, the big bosses, but you kind of just see where if you're on the same wavelength. And he cares about acting, he cares about the craft, he cares about storytelling, and we geeked out. When we first met, we just geeked out about. I think I told him about my acting influences and performances that I've loved, and he had a huge collection of all these different things, and he just loves film, cinema, whatever, TV. He loves storytelling, and yeah, I think losing him, and he allowed Jonathan Tropper to do his thing, and I think that was the key relationship. I think that really helped Warrior shine, and you take that piece out of the puzzle. And then it kind of then it's like, oh well, then you haven't got someone who believes. So yeah, I think that was a big loss. And he was really, I think, I look back at it now and go, he cared about the art,
Exactly.
So many TV and the way streaming or whatever you call it is going. They just Netflix and blah blah.
They're just churning it out.
Well, yeah, it's like the 2 seasons and done because we don't get more audience. Yeah, doesn't matter how good the show is or if the people love it or what. Yeah, the importance of it. Yeah.
I know Carrie would have until the story was done, he would have believed the show and pushed for that show. But yeah, so
well, we're hoping
with
that HBO Max you get the audience for a 3rd season because it deserves it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm at a point where I'm like, I think there's I think a few different levels why I think it deserves it. Is firstly, if you look at and I've always tried to try and be as open-minded as possible and that go and not be kind of like, oh, it's race thing, but I think that just historically any serious show with Asian actors, so we've done, I think Fresh Off the Boat went a lot of seasons, but it's comedy and light and quite cheap to make. But any serious show with a Asian cast has not gone past 2 seasons, I think. Marco Polo was was one, that's Netflix. But anyway, so there's that angle to it, but then there's also the main angle, which is like Bruce Lee. It's Bruce Lee's legacy, to respect that, not having it cancelled, not having it like there's a set that's there, in South Africa. I mean, it's dismantled now, but it wouldn't be that hard to pick that show back up.
Right.
And if you want to be, I think it's not just, oh, do you want to finish off this TV show that people like? It's
the story. They have to finish. The story is important and it needs a resolution. It can't just sort of fizzle away the way it has. And it's not even that they canceled it. It's just the whole thing is done, well, we're locking the doors and saying goodbye.
They ghosted it.
Oops. It's been ghosted.
They ghosted it. And it resonates so much right now because you have the same language used 150 years ago as you do now. They're, coming for our wives, they're taking our jobs, these kind the bullshit that you hear, and it feels like it's a story that we need more of.
And the reason that it is so impactful from Warrior is that it isn't just here's the good guys, here's the bad guys, and we want to tell this story about immigration. Everyone's a bad guy, everyone's a good guy. We understand where each player in this is coming from, what they have to gain, what they have to lose, and why they're doing what they're doing.
Except Buckley.
So it creates the
Buckley.
Yeah. Well, we have a little tiny grain of empathy for him now, but it's really tiny.
It's almost not there.
Yeah, he's a dick. So,
it creates the dialogue instead of just more fighting. We have the fights in the show, but if you're talking about the show with people, there's real meat there to talk about the issues that are going on, because you can't just dismiss Leary's point of view, and you can't just dismiss Atoy's reason that she's, has a brothel, and because
sorting people.
Because they all have valid reasons for being the way they are. And the only way it's going to change is if they all actually sit down and talk about this and work it out. But we don't do that.
That's why
because then we don't have a show. So
because that's Buckley's point, is like look down, don't ever look up and blame the people up here. Look amongst yourselves. See, that's why Buckley's a dick.
Buckley's well, because Buckley is we just need to keep the chaos. I just want chaos. So I can do my little agenda. But it's just too important to go away.
Anyways, we're hopeful.
Yeah,
at least a little bit. I hope that it will get the audience. I mean, it should. It's a phenomenal show. I think that I'm not sure that the best advertising was done for it. I think it was I think season 2 has had almost none, but season 1, we did not expect the show we got. I think we were covering Strike Back and we're like, this warrior looks interesting, and then we went and we were like, this is not the show I thought I saw a preview. This is a great show, but boy, that preview was fighting all the time, nothing but fighting, Bruce Lee, and it was oh, there's a lot of stuff going on that I'm not sure that they did the best job of highlighting. That.
I think as their budget was running down, and the whole Cinemax thing, and I think that's definitely something that is true. The thing is, I think, is if the show manages to survive, that would be all word of mouth, pretty much, predominantly word of mouth. I mean, I think this I won't take it away from them. I know some of them, the few of them that were there at PR, they really did their best. But I'm like, okay, well, this show, if it does succeed, my goal, I've said this before, my goal would be, if I have to come on board as a producer or whatever to help try and at least wrap it up. For me, I'm scared of 3 or 4 or 5 extra seasons, because that means I'm getting older and it's harder to pull that off. You heard my story of season 2. So, I mean, I would at least hope for, a nice mini series or 2, to wrap everything up and all that stuff. And if I have to come on board as a producer and it has to be revived, Deadwood, is it Deadwood?
Yeah.
All those years later, then that'll be what I'll fight for, because I think it deserves it, and for what it's given me, since and Bruce Lee and everything. But if it does ever succeed, we'll know it's because of the quality of it, not because of so many things I think do so well nowadays, and it's just because they get so much. They've had this PR and promo, and then you watch the thing, and you're like, "Really? Are you serious?"
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, who are these people writing these reviews? Because they did not watch what I just watched.
I know. Yeah. What person they're talking about? That wasn't what I saw. Did they see something else? Oh, they saw through a lens of money.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think if there's an energy behind it that we all feel now. I mean, I'm mainly in touch with Dean, Brett, and Joe. I message Kieran a bit every now and again, but everyone else has gone off doing their own thing. But we still feel this energy, and we don't know. It doesn't feel like it's dead yet, and I'm hoping it's not. But I hope that with this energy that we're feeling still means something. It means it might still live in some way, shape, or form. So yeah,
we've definitely heard that from everyone. Everybody is, has that energy, has that commitment. Just there's no reason we can't do this. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So
I'll just need 6 months to get back in shape, because I'm in lockdown. Quarantine.
Well, the good thing to know is that so is Joe. So you guys are equally out of shape.
He's got these weird genetics, though. If you think, I mean, he could probably just go to the gym. I mean, I need to really work hard to get in in that shape. He's got this kind of, those kind of, have you got friends like that? They're just somehow always in shape, or they can eat shit, but
That's my
you know,
husband. I
yeah,
love my husband, and don't get me wrong, I benefit from it, but
yeah,
it really pisses me off.
yeah,
Because he'll be like, "Oh, I got my physical. I gotta lose some weight," and then like 2 days later, he's like, "All good," and I'm like, "What? He ate like 4 cheeseburgers. I
yeah.
don't understand."
But that's Joe in Warrior. Like, you see him, he's got these amazing pecs and he's fucking
Yeah.
and I'm like, Joe, you've been working out? He goes, no, I just done some press ups. Unless he's been doing stuff behind closed door, you know what I mean? And he
Like
can just
Karen
lying to us.
said, he just eats noodles all day.
He's noodles all the time. Yeah.
Oh,
I think, yeah. I mean, I've got another friend of mine. He naturally just all the time, no matter what he eats, he's got a six pack, and it pisses me off. It's like, how have you got a six pack all the time, man? It doesn't make any sense, because then he's eating pizza and all that stuff. So Joe's a bit like that. So Joe, he's gonna be fine, whereas I'll need the time, because I get he's just like, I haven't got those genetics. I get flabby easy. So whatever.
you could have fooled us.
Yeah. I'm like, those. Okay. Well, anyways, we won't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry. You're fine. You're fine. And you got the smolder thing down. We were talking about that with Ah Sahm and Penny, and he's got that like. I don't know if you've ever seen. I mean, do you have kids?
No.
No. So you probably haven't seen Tangled. They're like Rapunzel, the Disney Tangled, and like the guy's like smolder thing.
Oh yeah,
like,
I've seen that. Those Tangled.
Yeah. I'm like, that's Ah Sahm does the like smolder thing really well.
Smolder.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tried to do.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's me. Them trying to make me a leading romantic lead, and to be honest, I always feel like I'm not really that guy. I always feel like I'm the stuff I want to do is like character, Joaquin Phoenix, Heath Ledger, those kind of quirky things, and so that's me trying. If you see any smaller, that's me trying to be. I think this is how you do this. Like,
it works. I'll tell you, it works.
Yeah.
So don't worry. All the women are going, whoo. Yep, it works.
That little scene with Penny in her office, that was the hottest little chin swipe I've ever seen.
Oh, really?
Oh my God. We definitely talked about that for episode, because we were like, whew.
Really?
So
yeah,
okay. Don't worry.
I gotta play a song. I gotta be a song more when I go out. Yeah. I got a chin swipe people now. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. All right.
Well,
we have hit over an hour. So.
Maybe we'll use this and maybe we won't. But do you have any, like, if you could write the next season of Ah Sam's character, what would you do with him?
Oh yeah, I've been thinking about
especially with him and Young June, their relationship.
See what I'll tell you. Well, you can use this or whatever. But like my what I think we'd have to do to pick it back up. I mean, Jonathan Tropper, if he manages to come back on board, he'd have his own thing, his idea. I think you can't ignore the fact that there will have been a bit of a gap in between season 2 and whatever. So I think you have to embrace that. I was just thinking on a producer thing, like how would I do it? And I was thinking, okay, you'd have to embrace the fact there's been a bit of a gap. You'd have to kind of pick up a little bit further down the line. I'd make it so you can introduce the show to a new audience as well. So it's like, there's all these characters which are there, but they maybe haven't spoken to each other in a while, and kind of reintroducing, so you're actually paying homage and satisfying the original story, but then you're trying to introduce it to a new audience, but not trying to still it's a balancing act of a few things I think you've got to do. The story, in terms of the story of Ah Sahm, is me personally, I would see him. I've always seen it like, okay, I keep hearing about a Western. Everyone says Warrior's like a Western. I'm thinking, well, actually, if you think about it, season 1 is the drifter comes to town. Season 2, and he gets the lay of the land and he learns the plight of the people. Season 2 is he starts fighting for the people. Season 3, or the last, whatever it would be the him basically packing his bags up and leaving. And I think personally, there would be a resolution with young Jun, and it'll be a deep, and it'll be they'd probably fight it at some point. I think also they won't be. I don't think they'd be remain brothers and friends. I just think that's the way it goes. But I think there would be an understanding. There would be a listen. You have to do this. I've got to do my thing. I love you, but we stand for two very different things, and that was a part of our life. And then on top of that, I think there'll be a nice homage to Bruce Lee in that. I think maybe Ah Sahm, and someone mentioned this when we were filming season 2, would be him finding his mentor, him finding his apprentice, just like the toy does with Lai.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, because when you're in these fighting roles, you're only in them for a certain amount of time, because you can only hold the belt for a certain amount of time before someone else is younger and faster and all that. And I think Ah Sahm would probably leave California or San Francisco and but having made a difference, having made a positive, strong change, having done something, but then now he's going off to find peace and happiness for himself. But then he's left something, the spark, this idea of change, this idea of whatever, in the form of someone like Lai, his version of Lai. And I think I don't know, that's how I would do something like that. I don't know. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah. Because that's always been my thing, is like, I want to know how he and Young Jun work this out, if they do.
Yeah.
Because that's just such a great relationship,
Yeah, I know.
And then poor Hong will just be standing on the side going,
I love that character so much.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a weirdly wonderful addition.
Yeah.
What an awesome character.
Chen's lovely as well. Chen's lovely. He is a bit of a Hong as well in real life.
That's funny.
He's the kind of guy who says certain things at the wrong time. You're like, hey man, just relax a little bit. Oh yes, sorry. He gets excited. But he's a real. What I like about him is he's a real actor. Like, he really thinks his character through, and he thinks. He just. It's not about him looking good. It's about him serving the character to the full capacity. Because the more I'm starting to be in this industry, the more I'm going, there's a lot of people who don't actually care about acting around here. What the fuck's going on? There's actually, everyone wants to just look good and be cool and badass, but what about playing their characters? And Warrior was like something I was like, oh, everyone actually cares about just playing their character, and so that's anyway.
Thanks, and tune in next week for another Need to Know session at the Crib. Follow us on Twitter @StrikebackCrib. Out.